Guests on Keel heard via the Jack Spring Electric Keel Newsmaker hotline. Among them is the always welcome Cattle Commissioner Mario Chavez. Hey, Mr. Mario, welcome back to Keel. How you doing?
Robert, good morning, sir, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much, and to you and yours. Let's talk about this because a lot of people have contacted me and said that we don't know exactly what this is. So let's see if we can get a little clarification and or clarity here. It's the UDC, the Unified Development Code. What exactly is that? What does the Cattle Commission have to do with that, and why are people getting kind of freaked out?
Robert, great question. The UDC, it's a document that the MPC, which is the Metropolitan Planning Commission, I know a lot of people get all these acronyms confused. So the MPC put out a document, and they were trying to produce a unified development code because the current code that we had for development for zoning was very archaic, and it was kind of pieced together over the last 30 or some years. They wanted something a little bit easier to follow. So what they did is they had many, many town meetings. This went over the flow of about 3 years. They had developers, builders all come together to try to piece together a code that worked very good for everybody, so it would be more seamless in building. The reason that it's affecting the parish and why we have to ratify it and accept it is there's a 5-mile buffer that's from the city line that goes into the parish that we have to approve so that for future building, everybody that builds things within the parish also falls underneath that code. And it's so that when the city grows bigger, that the code is the same, that it's not you have one property line and it's just everything's different.
So,
of course,
what is it about this that has so many people sort of concerned that the Cattle Commission, the MPC, that this code will infringe on their private property rights? Are you hearing that?
Absolutely, Robert. And we being the parish, we took care of this temporarily for what happened. The incident, there was something written in the code about recreational vehicles. And we've gone in lengths over what exactly a recreational vehicle was. But what the MPC did is within the code, they went out and they had an inspector go to every house. And if you had a trailer out there, if you had a recreational vehicle, boats, different type of trailers, they gave you basically a fine because within the code it states that you can't have it just sitting in your yard, which I think was very unfair. A, they should have been told, and then B, Robert, if you and I live in the parish, if we live out of the city limits, we kind of have the notion that we can do whatever we want on our yards. We live in the South. We think we should shoot in our yard, have fires, park all of our vehicles out there, and that's not so within that 5-mile buffer. So we had a lot of people come down and say, hey, we have this fine. So the commission got together. I was very proud to see Doug Dominic and Lyndon B. Johnson. Those two commissioners got together quickly. They made something happen. We pushed everything aside, created a temporary just freeze on it. We got with the MPC, Alan Clark, he's the new director. He agreed to stop all the fines, and so nobody that got that letter should be worried about it. And we're drafting new legislation. We're actually going to accept it next Thursday at the next meeting. That will put a stop to that, but we're trying to figure out a way to not have this happen again and how to give the people in the parish more leeway.
State Representative Danny McCormick has done a video, and in that video he's talking about how this UDC, this Unified Development Code, and the Cattle Commission, it's going to infringe. You have to register your horses. The Cattle Commission wants to control the height of fences on your property, and you need a permit to cut down your own trees. Is there any legitimacy to that? And if there is, what's the reasoning behind it?
Robert, I haven't seen the video, so I don't know what's all inside of it. However, it's not the Cattle Commission that's doing it. Remember, it's the Metropolitan Planning Commission. They create the UDC, and then they send it to us to approve it. So we're actually going through the process right now of either approving or denying certain things that they're bringing about. We had a long 2-hour meeting. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson is the chairman of that meeting last week, and we went through about 20 different items. We accepted a lot of them, but some of them we said, you know what, this is too overbearing on our parish residents, and we're throwing these back.
Would you describe the Unified Development Code as, at this point at least, a work in progress?
Absolutely. I actually said that. I think it's a living document because there's a lot of things that we can't set in stone. And frankly, for myself, one of the biggest issues I've found is a lot of business owners, they haven't been just up to what's going on for instance, a sign. I had a big issue, and I went to the Zoning Board of Appeals 2 weeks ago to help 3 different businesses that were in my district that were getting hurt by the UDC that the MPC put out in regards to signs. We had one corner specifically, Linwood and Burt Coons, where there's 3 businesses there that have been there for 20 years. A new business going up, a big, beautiful business, they're spending millions of dollars. They wanted a sign that was the same size as the other 3 signs. In the Unified Development Code, that sign could not be that big because they want to make smaller signs. What they're saying is they want less clutter. And I think the UDC has been formed after some other cities and states, and maybe some nicer places like in California where they don't have billboards and they have little signs. It's more of a smaller community. Well, we went to go fight with the ZBA for these guys because it looks rather funny when you have 3 signs that are exactly the same size and one is smaller. I don't think that looks uniformity, and I don't think it looks good for the businesses. You want to be able to drive down the street and every sign look the same. Well, that didn't make it. The ZBA declined our application to have it the same size. So that's one of the things where the UDC is going to hurt some businesses because they're not abreast of what's going on. They go to build a business, and they realize the Unified Development Code is going to hurt their business.
The MPC over the last few years, the Metropolitan Planning Commission has, I think it's fair to say, they've had their controversial moments. Given that you as a Caddo commissioner, you do understand people's concerns that they're the ones who are sort of making the rules here, right?
Absolutely. That's one reason why I think we need what that new state rep is doing. I think we need to do that more. I think we need to get together with some meetings and say, hey, listen, this is what's in the Unified Development Code, and what do you guys think about it? So I'm actually already talked to some people that, hey, we need to put one of these together. But however, we need to have some MPC staff there. I don't know if Mr. McCormick had any MPC members there to answer these, because they're the ones that need to say, hey, this is what we have to put in the document, and then we, either the city council or the Caddo Commission, have to ratify it.
What would you, as a Caddo commissioner, say to the rural the rural folks in Caddo Parish, to sort of assuage or to calm their concerns about this UDC, this Unified Development Code?
Robert, great question. I would tell them, hey, we're on your side. We're working for you guys, and trust me when I say Lyndon B. Johnson and Doug Dominic, they're for the people in the parish having all the rights to be able to say, I live in the parish, I should be able to do whatever I want with my land. Those guys completely agree with you, and I do too. Even though I live in the city, the whole notion growing up is you move to the parish, you can do whatever you want with your property, and I think that should stay.